There's something working against you. Right now. Quietly. Invisibly. It's been there for years, controlling your decisions, shaping your fears, setting the ceiling on your success. And the worst part? You don't even know it's there. See? Most people think they're in control of their life. They think success comes down to hustle, intelligence, strategy, or maybe just luck. But none of that matters if your mindset is broken. Because here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells you. You can read every self-help book, listen to every podcast, and grind until your bones crack. But if the operating system in your head is corrupted, the results will always glitch. The money won't come, the confidence won't stay, and every time you start over, it'll feel harder. Let me ask you, have you ever watched someone with half your talent, half your work ethic, and none of your struggle win effortlessly? Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked, why am I stuck when I'm doing everything right? The answer is here. This video isn't about hype or hustle. It's about the hidden architecture of your mind and how it secretly determines everything you attract, build, and become. Stay with me. Because once you understand this, you'll never see your life the same way again. But before we unlock it, subscribe. Not for me, for you. This is the conversation your future self has been begging you to have. Let's begin. Let me tell you a story. There's a man. He wakes up every day at 6 a.m. He hits the gym. He eats clean. He works 12 hours, comes home, studies business strategies, writes goals, listens to mindset podcasts before bed. He does everything right. And yet, his life is still average, broke, invisible. Meanwhile, another man wakes up late, drinks Red Bull for breakfast, parties on weekends, works half as hard, and somehow, that guy's flying first class, building empires, and posting life advice on Instagram like he's a prophet. Why? Why does reality feel unfair? Here's the truth. Life rewards mindset before it rewards behavior. Because your behavior is a symptom. Mindset is the system. Think of it like this. Two people plant seeds in the ground. One does it in a toxic, poison soil. The other on rich, nutrient-dense earth. The first one waters it daily, prays over it, talks to it, works like hell. But nothing grows because the soil is dead. That's what a broken mindset is. Poison soil. No matter how hard you work, nothing lasting will grow. And you know what's worse? You don't even realize the soil is broken because no one told you to check it. No one taught you how. Instead, they taught you to grind, to push through, to hustle through pain, smile through burnout. Call it ambition. But let me ask you something real. How many times have you gone all in, only to watch it fall apart? How many mornings have you woken up with fire in your chest and gone to sleep feeling like a fraud? And every time you fail, what do they tell you? You just didn't want it bad enough. You weren't disciplined. You didn't believe in yourself. Bullshit. The truth is, you were playing the wrong game. Because success doesn't start with willpower. It starts with identity. If you see yourself as a hustler, you'll always hustle. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you'll always find a way to struggle. If you see yourself as the underdog, you'll live your entire life trying to prove them wrong even when there's no one left to prove anything to. Your actions are the surface, but your self-image is the script behind the curtain, running every line. And here's the dangerous part. That script was written for you, by someone else. Your parents, your trauma, your school, your culture, your fears, even your first heartbreak. They all picked up the pen and you just kept reading the lines. So when you fail, it's not always because you're lazy. It's because your mindset is pre-programmed to fail. But now, you're here, watching this, listening to a voice that's not trying to motivate you but trying to wake you up. Because this isn't about being perfect. It's about realizing the fight is not out there. The fight is in here. And here's the twist. You haven't lost yet. You've just been playing by someone else's rules. Now it's time to rewrite them. You with me? Let's go deeper. You think you're making choices. You think you're choosing your job, your partner, your lifestyle, your dreams. But what if I told you that most of your life was chosen for you before you even learned how to spell your name? Here's how it works. When you were a kid, your brain was a sponge, wide open, no filters, no logic, just absorption. And everything you saw, heard, and felt, it became your blueprint. So if your parents argued about money, you didn't just hear fighting. You downloaded the belief, money causes pain. If someone laughed when you failed, you didn't just feel embarrassment. You installed the rule, Trying is dangerous. If you watched your role models struggle, give up, or settle for average, you built your normal around that. Not because you're weak, but because your subconscious was trying to protect you. It was trying to keep you alive, safe, accepted. But here's the tragedy. What keeps you safe at 5 keeps you small at 35. You're not stuck because you're lazy. You're stuck because your mind was wired to survive, not succeed. Let me say that again. Your brain doesn't care about success. It cares about safety. And for most of us, success feels unsafe. Too big, too different, too exposed. Why do you think some people sabotage every opportunity? Why do some people build momentum, then ghost their own progress? Because at the core of their subconscious, there's a voice whispering, if you grow too fast, you'll lose control. If you succeed, they'll leave you behind. If you shine too bright, they'll hate you. So you shrink, you undercharge, you play it cool, you avoid risks, and you call it being realistic. But deep down, you know better. Let me tell you about a girl named Lena. At 8 years old, she watched her dad lose everything in his business, bankrupt, humiliated. Her family moved into a one-bedroom apartment. She heard the shouting, saw the shame, felt the hunger, so her mind created a rule. Chasing success is dangerous. Flash forward 20 years, Lena is smart, educated, ambitious, but every time she gets close to winning, she freezes. She procrastinates, doubts herself, self-sabotages. Why? Because that 8-year-old version of her is still in charge, and she's terrified of losing it all again. Now here's the terrifying part. We all have that inner child running parts of our adult life, making decisions, setting limits, hitting brakes when we should be hitting gas, and we don't even realize it. Let me ask you, when you go for something big, do you feel energized? Or do you feel like you're about to do something wrong? When money starts flowing, do you feel powerful? Or do you secretly wonder how long it will last before it disappears again? When someone compliments you, do you believe them? Or do you instantly reject it in your head? These reactions aren't logical, they're programmed. And until you learn to rewrite the code, you'll keep repeating the same cycles, just with different people, different jobs, different cities. Here's the good news. Your mind was programmed. Which means it can be reprogrammed, but only if you become aware of the script. Only if you stop blaming the world and start examining your own code. This is not about guilt. It's not about blaming your parents, your teachers, your past. It's about realizing that you are not your thoughts. You're the one who listens to them. And more importantly, you're the one who can change them. But to do that, you need to go from living on autopilot to living with awareness, from reacting to rewriting. And once you do that, everything changes. Your results, your relationships, your energy, your income, your identity. Because now you're not acting from fear. You're acting from freedom. And that is when the real game begins. Not fake confidence. Not the loud, flashy, look at me kind of ego armor. I'm talking about the quiet, unshakable, real kind. The kind that walks into a room and doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that doesn't beg for permission, validation, or applause. The kind that knows without needing proof. Let me tell you a secret most people never hear. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's not something you feel. It's something you build. And it starts with keeping promises to yourself. That's it. That's the root. If you say you're going to wake up at 7 a.m. and you hit snooze, you just taught your brain, I don't trust myself. If you say you're going to start that project and you keep scrolling, you just installed the message, my words mean nothing. Confidence dies every time you break your own word. Not because of the failure, but because of the betrayal. And here's the irony. You might still show up for others. You might still be reliable, helpful, even impressive on the outside. But inside, the version of you that knows the truth is shrinking. Let me ask you something. If a friend lied to you 10 times in a row, would you trust them the 11th time? No. Then why do you expect yourself to feel confident when you've been lying to yourself for years? That's the root of imposter syndrome. It's not that you're not good enough. It's that your brain remembers how many times you've made a promise and didn't follow through. And every time you step into a new opportunity, that memory pulls you back. It whispers, you say you're ready, but we know how this ends. So how do we fix it? Simple. You rebuild trust. One small, brutally honest promise at a time. You don't say, I'm going to change my whole life tomorrow. You say, I'm going to do 10 push-ups after this video. I'm going to write one paragraph of that idea. I'm going to go to bed at 11 p.m. And then you do it. No matter how small, no matter how tired, no matter how pointless it feels, because every time you follow through, you send a new signal. I can count on me. And that more than motivation, more than inspiration, more than hype is what builds true confidence. Now, let's go deeper. Real confidence doesn't come from being the best. It comes from knowing who you are when you're at your worst, when the money's not flowing, when the plan fails, when nobody's watching, and there's no applause. That's when confidence is tested. It's easy to feel strong when everything's working, but who are you when it all falls apart? Confidence is born in the silence, in the dark, in those lonely moments where you choose to stay standing, even when no one's cheering. And here's what they never told you. Confidence isn't loud. It's not cocky. It doesn't look like arrogance. Real confidence is calm. It's clear. It's quiet. Because when you trust yourself deeply, you don't need to convince anyone else. Let me tell you about a guy named Marcus. Marcus was always the smartest guy in the room. Straight A's. Valedictorian. Perfect resume. But every time he stepped into a high-stakes meeting, his hands would shake. His voice would crack. And he'd wonder, what's wrong with me? Turns out, Marcus had built his entire identity on external achievement, grades, praise, titles. But internally, he didn't trust himself, because every big win was followed by burnout, by breakdowns, by bailing on his own boundaries. It wasn't until Marcus started doing the inner work, keeping promises, being honest, setting standards, that he began to feel a real shift. Today, Marcus still walks into high-stakes rooms, but now, his hands don't shake. Because he's not trying to perform. He's just showing up as someone he finally believes in. You want that kind of confidence? Don't chase it. Earn it. By doing the hard things you said you'd do. By staying aligned with your values even when it's inconvenient. By trusting yourself to show up not perfectly, but consistently. That's what builds the mindset of success. Because the world will mirror back the level of trust you have in yourself. And the moment you stop lying to you, the world stops lying to you too. Let's get real about mindset, because most people think mindset is just a feeling, like, I woke up motivated today, or I'm feeling positive. But here's the truth. Mindset is not a mood. It's not a fleeting feeling. It's a system. It's a structure. It's the architecture of how you think, act, and respond. Imagine building a house on sand. No matter how great the walls look, no matter how beautiful the paint, the foundation is weak. And when the storm hits, it crumbles. Your mindset is your foundation. And if it's shaky, if it's patched with temporary hype or luck, you're going to fall apart when life tests you. So how do you build a mindset that lasts? Step 1. Clarity. You need to know exactly what you want and why. Sounds obvious, right? But most people don't have this. They chase vague goals like be successful or make money. But what does that even mean? Without clarity, your system is like a GPS with no destination. You'll drive in circles, you'll waste time, you'll get frustrated. Ask yourself, what does success look like to me? How will I feel when I get there? Why is this important enough to fight for every day? Write it down. Make it real. Step 2. Consistency. This is where most people fail. They get fired up for a week, then burn out. Building a system means doing small, smart actions daily. Not giant leaps, but tiny bricks stacked one by one. What's one habit you can commit to today? Maybe it's reading 5 pages of a book, or meditating for 5 minutes, or writing down one thing you're grateful for. Make it non-negotiable. Step 3. Resilience. Because storms will come, your system needs shock absorbers. It needs a way to bounce back from setbacks. So you build rituals. Maybe it's a morning routine that centers you. Maybe it's journaling your wins and losses. Maybe it's a support group or mentor who keeps you accountable. Whatever it is, find your anchors. Here's a story for you. Sarah was stuck in a dead-end job, unhappy and exhausted. She decided to build her mindset from scratch. First, she wrote down her vision: freedom to travel, financial independence, daily joy. Then, she created a simple daily habit. Every morning, she spent 10 minutes planning her day and setting one goal. She joined a mastermind group to stay inspired and accountable. The results: within 6 months, Sarah switched careers, doubled her income, and felt more alive than ever. Why? Because she didn't rely on motivation. She built a system. Not every day was perfect. Some days she wanted to quit. But the system held her up. And that's the secret. Mindset is not magic. It's not luck. It's a system you build brick by brick, day by day. So ask yourself, are you building a mindset? Or just hoping for one? Because the choice is yours. Let's talk about something almost nobody wants to hear. Failure and criticism. Most people run from failure like it's a monster under the bed. They avoid criticism like it's poison. But here's the brutal truth. Failure and criticism are not your enemies. They are the sharpest tools you have. Think about it. How do you get stronger muscles? By breaking them down through stress and rebuilding. How do you learn to walk? By falling 1,000 times. How do you grow your mindset for success? By facing your fears, stumbling, and learning. Imagine if every time you failed, you saw it as proof you're broken. You'd never try again. You'd never get anywhere. But the most successful people, they flip the script. They see failure as data, as feedback, as a compass pointing them to what needs fixing. Here's the kicker. Criticism is not a personal attack. It's information. It's someone holding a mirror to what you might have missed. And the best leaders, they seek criticism. They hunt for feedback, because without it, you're blind. I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you actually welcomed criticism? Not shrug it off or got defensive, but leaned in, asked questions, and got curious. If you can't remember, start there. Here's a story for you. James was terrified of feedback. Every negative comment felt like a stab. He avoided meetings. He stopped sharing ideas. Then one day, a mentor told him, if you want to grow, learn to love the sting of criticism. It's the only way to sharpen your edge. James decided to test it. The next time he got feedback, he didn't run. He asked, help me understand more. He took notes, reflected, and adjusted. Fast forward 6 months, James got promoted. His confidence soared. He was unstoppable because he stopped fearing criticism and started using it. The same applies to failure. It's not the end of the road, it's the signpost. It says, change your approach. Try another way. Learn something new, so next time you mess up, or someone points out your flaws, don't shrink. Lean forward. Ask, what can I learn here? How can this make me better? That's the mindset of success. It's not about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to face your weaknesses and grow through them. So, what will you do the next time failure knocks? Will you shut the door or open it wider? Because success doesn't happen despite failure, it happens because of it. If you want to understand one truth about success that will change your life forever, here it is. Your environment shapes your destiny. Sounds simple, right? But most people never truly grasp how deep this goes. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how your mood, energy, and mindset shift based on the people around you? Some people lift you up, challenge you, push you forward. Others drain your energy, pull you down, and make you doubt yourself. The people you surround yourself with act like a mirror and a magnifying glass, reflecting who you are and amplifying who you can become. If you want to develop a success mindset, ignoring your environment is like trying to grow a plant in the dark. It's impossible. Now, let's get practical. The first step, audit your current environment. Look at the people you spend most of your time with. Ask yourself, are they ambitious or complacent? Are they supportive or toxic? Do they challenge you to grow? Or do they settle for mediocrity? Here's a question that will sting. Are you the smartest person in your circle or the one holding everyone else back? Because growth happens in discomfort. If you're the top dog in your group, how will you level up? Here's a story to illustrate this. Maya was a talented graphic designer stuck in a rut. Her friends were great people, but none of them pushed her to try harder or think bigger. She realized she was comfortable but stagnant. So Maya started seeking new connections. She joined online communities, attended workshops, and found mentors who challenged her. Suddenly, her mindset shifted. She began setting higher goals, learning new skills, and eventually landed her dream job. The lesson: your network is your net worth. But it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. The second step, curate your inner circle. Start by reducing time with energy vampires, people who complain, criticize, or bring negativity. This is tough, especially if they're family or close friends. But remember, setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. Next, seek out people who inspire you. Maybe it's a colleague who's killing it at their job. Maybe it's an entrepreneur with a growth mindset. Maybe it's a coach or mentor who sees your potential. Surround yourself with those who embody the mindset you want to develop. Because ideas are contagious. When you hang around winners, you start thinking like one. The third step: create environments that foster growth. This means more than just people. It means your physical space, your daily routines, your media consumption. Is your workspace cluttered or inspiring? Do you read books and listen to podcasts that elevate your thinking? Do you limit exposure to negative news and social media traps? Small changes here multiply. Imagine waking up every day to a clean desk, motivational quotes, and a plan for growth. Your mind will start following. And here's a powerful mindset hack. Schedule growth time with your circle. Set regular calls, meetups, or masterminds where you challenge each other, share wins, and hold accountability. This creates a feedback loop that keeps your mindset sharp. Now, here's a twist. Not everyone in your network will stay forever. People change. Priorities shift. Don't feel guilty about evolving and adjusting your circle. Growth means some relationships will grow stronger and others will fade. And that's okay. Ask yourself, who lifts you higher? Who holds you back? Who do you want to become? Because your environment is the soil in which your mindset grows. Neglect it and your mindset withers. Nurture it and you'll flourish beyond your wildest dreams. Before we move on, remember to hit like if you're ready to take control of your environment. Subscribe if you want more deep dives like this to transform your mindset every week. Because your success isn't just about you, it's about who you let in your life. You know the voices inside your head, the ones that whisper doubts, fears, and sometimes harsh criticism. What if I told you these voices aren't just random no's? They're the architects of your reality. Your inner dialogue, your self-talk, is the foundation of your mindset. It either builds a fortress of confidence or erects walls of limitation. Many people don't realize how much power they give these internal conversations. Let me ask you, how often do you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," or "I don't deserve this"? If that's a regular habit, your mind is wired for failure, because what you tell yourself repeatedly becomes your truth. But here's the good news: you can rewire your brain by changing your self-talk. This isn't fluff. Neuroscience proves it. The more you repeat positive, empowering messages, the more your brain forms new neural pathways. You literally become who you speak to yourself about. Now, here's the practical side. Start with awareness. Begin to listen to your internal dialogue without judgment. Notice the negative patterns. Then, challenge those thoughts. Ask, is this true? What evidence do I have? Is there another way to see this? Replace the lies with facts, or at least more balanced thoughts. For example, if your mind says, "I always fail," counter with, "I have succeeded before, and I can learn from my mistakes." One of my favorite stories is about Sarah. Sarah was paralyzed by fear of failure. Her inner critic was relentless, telling her she'd never be good enough to start her own business. One day, Sarah decided to write down those negative thoughts. She then wrote a counter statement next to each one. She turned "I can't do this" into "I am learning and growing every day." She practiced these affirmations daily, especially when fear crept in. Within months, Sarah launched her business. It wasn't perfect, but she was no longer held back by her own mind. The transformation started with changing the conversation inside her head. Now, let's talk about a technique that's simple but game-changing: visualization. Picture your success as vividly as possible. Imagine the sights, sounds, feelings. Feel the pride, the excitement, the relief. Your brain can't always tell the difference between imagined and real experiences. By practicing visualization daily, you train your mind to believe success is possible and inevitable. Combine this with positive self-talk, and you create a powerful mindset combo. Before I wrap up, here's a question to ponder. What if the only thing standing between you and your dream is the way you speak to yourself? Are you ready to become your own biggest supporter? To silence the critic and amplify the champion inside? It starts today. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, write down one negative thought you catch yourself thinking each morning. Rewrite it into a positive affirmation. Repeat it out loud. See how it shifts your energy. Remember, your mind believes what you tell it most, so tell it something incredible. Thank you for sticking with me through this journey. If you found this video valuable, hit the like button, subscribe for more content that will change the way you think and live, and comment below, what's one positive affirmation you're going to start using? Let's grow this mindset together, because your success story begins with your thoughts. Make them count. So here's the brutal truth. If you don't start controlling your mindset right now, your dreams will stay exactly where they are. Just dreams. Nothing changes until you change the way you think. This is your life, your future, and your success hanging in the balance. Don't wait for motivation to magically appear. Take control. Own your thoughts. Build that mindset like your life depends on it, because it does. If you're serious about leveling up, smash that subscribe button, hit like, and don't miss the next videos where we break down even deeper secrets to unstoppable success. Remember, winners act, losers hesitate. Which one will you choose? See you in the next video.